Ugh, what the fuck is up, yo? Boom, high energy podcast coming right at you. What's that? You want to win a shirt? Pfft, that's good, because I want to give you a shirt to win. How do you win it, you ask? Well, I shall tell you right now. Just listen up with your sweet, sweet listening ears. Share our shit, yo. Every time we put out an episode, share it on either, Facebook, Instagram, Twitwats, fucking wherever. Comment after you've shared it, let us know, we'll write down everyone that's done it, and then we'll do like a live video during the breakdown, and Jack can pull some names out of a hat and be like, boom, you won a shirt. This is going to be a specially made Dead Glass designed Carousel Sniper Victim shirt that I'm going to design, and it's not going to be available. I've already designed it. I'm just letting you know now in this podcast. It's hard for me to know when things are happening, even though I make them, but when do you listen? Who knows? That's the question. Anyway. Share our shit, let us know, we'll put everyone's name into a little hat, and you can enter as many times as you want, and then, once every topic, basically, so, boom, Papin Sisters is up right now. Share this episode when it comes up on Facebook, you're listening to it right now, click the little fucking dotty things on your smartphone device, and boom, share that shit up. Send us a message saying, yo, shared it, what do I get? And then, right now there'll probably fuck all people that do it because people are lazy. So if you get in right now, you could have a good percentage chance of being the person that wins that shirt. So, alright, now that I've bribed you all to help us further our agenda, thanks to Lily for recommending this episode. You're a fucking mad bitch, love you. Keep up your fucking good work. You're a fucking star, mate. If you've got a topic that you reckon we could do, or you've got an idea you want to shoot our way, just send us a message, direct message us on any of the socials. You fucking know where they are. Just search Carousel Sniper Victim. There's a website. You'll find us. Send us a message. I'll see it, and then could turn it into an episode. Alright, boom, done. We got there in the end. Enjoy, yo. The Papin Sisters. I'm French. Bye.
Very good. 150 francs a month. Sundays free until 4.
Sleep, my little sister, sleep.
In a beautiful house, kept perfect by the perfect servants.
Sisters. We have pearls on our hands. 2 pearls.
Everything is in its place.
Madame is so precise, so careful.
But she doesn't let us get away with a thing.
Why should she? It's her house. It's better that way.
But beneath the respectable exterior,
These two are different. You mark my words.
They're bound for life, bound in blood.
something is stirring.
They've always kept to themselves.
Every Sunday up in that room.
That cannot be denied.
Christine, it's beautiful.
It's you, beautiful.
That cannot be controlled.
Now I see.
And can only be ended.
They're getting careless.
She sees things. This is impossible. Things that aren't even there. Her and her daughter.
By a shocking act of violence.
It's amazing. They don't even look like maids anymore.
You never stick up for me! Don't be angry with me. You're all I have, Leah. You're all I'll ever have.
Going to church every Sunday thinking you were a child of God?
Oh, madame, stop, please. Christine! Christine!
God forgive me for what I have harbored here.
Sleep, my little sister, sleep. Sleep through darkness, sleep so deep. My little sister, close your eyes.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You're listening to Carousel Sniper Victim, a Dead Glass Design production, with your host, Sean Jeffrey.
The government says these were the most violent protests in Paris in over 50 years. On Saturday, 133 people were injured and more than 400 were arrested. The movement began 3 weeks ago on social media, with calls to protest attacks on fuel. But it's grown into a working-class revolt against the economic policies of President Emmanuel Macron.
Will China storm the city? ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reporting from a region on the brink.
Tonight, tensions mounting in Hong Kong. On the streets of this global financial centre, a dangerous game of cat and mouse between police and protesters who are showing no sign of backing down. A rapidly developing and highly volatile situation here in Hong Kong. Protesters surrounded a police station earlier.
In the Oxford Dictionary, the term class struggle is described thusly: a noun. In Marxist ideology, the conflict of interests between the workers and the ruling class in a capitalist society, regarded as inevitably violent. You may have seen in the global news headlines lately protests in Hong Kong, or something about a yellow vests or yellow jackets movement in France. This is a grassroots revolutionary political movement that began in France in October 2018. After an online petition posted in May of that year attracted nearly 1 million signatures, mass demonstrations began on the 17th of November 2018. This class movement spans the political spectrum. Yellow high-visibility vests, which French law required all drivers to have in their vehicles and to wear during emergencies, were chosen as a unifying thread and a call to arms because of their convenience, visibility, and association with working-class industries. Now, revolution and violent class struggles are nothing new in France. You might have heard of a little moment in history known as the French Revolution. And King Louis was the King of France before the Revolution, and then he went and got his head cut off and it spoiled his constitution. This was a period of far-reaching social and political upheaval in France and its colonies. The French Revolution began in 1789. It overthrew the monarchy, established a republic, and instigated violent periods of political turmoil, which finally culminated in a dictatorship under Napoleon, who brought many of its principles to areas he conquered in Western Europe and beyond. Inspired by liberal and radical ideas, the revolution profoundly altered the course of modern history, triggering the global decline of absolute monarchies while replacing them with republics and liberal democracies. Through the course of the Revolutionary Wars, a wave of global conflicts that extended from the Caribbean to the Middle East was unleashed. Historians widely regard the French Revolution as one of the most important events in human history. But tucked away from the grandeur of big city politics and violent revolutions, in the northwest of France, lies a little city by the name of Le Mans, which is known for little more than a car race that takes place once a year, the famous 24 Hours of Le Mans. But with a quick look at the Wikipedia entry of Le Mans, in the section of notable people, you will find in the 7th position down, mixed in amongst 20 various priests, aristocrats, and famous musicians, the names of Christine and Lea Papin. These sisters gifted the city with a degree of infamy that would otherwise never have been achieved. But instead of being known for a grand or generous achievement, the Papin sisters were instead known for being convicted of something much more sinister. A murder so significant that it would shake the bedrock of French society and influence French intellectuals such as Jean Genet, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Jacques Lacan. These leading intellectuals, amongst others, sought to analyse the events that took place surrounding the sisters and draw connections between them and that of a deep-seated class struggle taking place between different aspects of French society at the time. This is the story of Christine and Lea Papin. In the cliched fashion of all stereotypical murder cases, the Papin sisters came from a troubled family. Their mother was Clémence Deret, and their father was Gustave Papin. Although rumours were going around that Clémence was having an affair with her boss, her partner Gustave still loved her deeply. In October of 1901, when Clémence became pregnant with her first child, Gustave married her. Baby Amelia Papin arrived in February of 1902. But Gustave had always wondered if his wife Clémence was having an affair. He decided that he would get a job in another town to take Clémence away from any temptations she might find in Le Mans. About 2 years after Amelia was born, Gustave announced that he had indeed found a new job and would be taking the family to live in a different town. This didn't sit well with his wife. Clémence threatened to commit suicide rather than leave Le Mans, and this only served to strengthen Gustave's suspicion that she was indeed having an affair. After she regained her senses, the couple did indeed move and start a new life. The relationship, however, was becoming progressively more volatile. Reports indicated that Clémence showed little or no affection for her children or her husband, and that she was an unstable individual. In turn, Gustave turned to alcohol, and the family dynamic began to break down. When Amelia was 9 or 10 years old, her mother Clémence sent her to the Bon Pasteur Catholic orphanage. Many years later, information would surface that Amelia's father, Gustave, had raped her. Amelia Papin later joined the convent and became a nun. However, Clémence had also given birth to 2 other children, both of which she and her husband had sent away at an early age. Christine was the difficult one. She was born in 1905 and was the middle child of the family. Soon after she was born, Christine's parents gave her to her father's sister, who was more than happy to take her. Christine remained with her aunt for 7 years, after which she too entered a Catholic orphanage. Although Christine wanted to join the convent too, her mother would not allow it, and later placed her into employment. With an average intelligence, her personality was stronger and more open than her younger sister Lea's. Her employers had reported that she could be insolent at times, but nonetheless she was a hard worker and was known as a good cook. Lea, on the other hand, was the shy one. Born in 1911, she was the youngest child of the 3 girls. Evaluations indicated that Lea was of slightly lower intelligence than her sister Christine. She was introverted, quiet, but obedient. By the mid-1920s, Christine and Lea Papin were now both of age to be gainfully employed. In 1926, they were both fortunate enough to land a domestic live-in job together in Le Mans, in the home of the Lancelin family, a retired lawyer, his wife Leonie, and their adult daughter Genevieve. Christine served as the family cook while Lea cleaned the house. Some years after Christine and Lea started working for the family, Madame Leonie developed depression and the girls became the target of her mental illness. The abuse worsened to the point that Madame Leonie would slam the girls' heads against the walls. This abuse would eventually culminate to a boiling point, a point in which the girls' suppressed rage would explode to the surface. Now, the Papin sisters were, by most accounts, good girls and model housemaids. Every Sunday they dressed up and attended church, and they had reputations as being diligent workers with proper behaviour. Known to be rather antisocial, Christine and Lea Papin preferred their own company over that of others. Each day, they had a 2-hour break after lunch, but instead of going out to enjoy the day, they would often stay isolated together in their bedroom. By 1933, the Papin sisters had been with the Lancelins for 6 years, happily employed, or so it seemed. Christine was now 27 years old, and Lea was 21. And it was this year, 1933, that everything changed. On February the 2nd, Mrs. Lancelin and her daughter Genevieve arrived home at around 5:30 p.m. to a mostly dark house. It was the second time in a week that the malfunctioning iron had caused the electrical fuse to blow while Christine was ironing. Oddly, the iron had just returned that day from the repairman who said he could find nothing wrong with it. When Christine informed Mrs. Lancelin that the iron had broke once again, the madame was angry and a dispute broke out. Of course, there had been other difficulties in the past, but Mrs. Lancelin was a real stickler for a job well done. She would even do the whole put on her white gloves to check for dust, and regularly gave feedback about Christine's cooking and made Lea go back and clean when she'd missed a spot. But this time was different. Christine snapped. At the top of the stairs on the first floor landing, Christine lunged at Genevieve and tore out her eyes with her fingers. Lea quickly joined in the struggle and grabbed Mrs. Lancelin. Christine ordered her to gouge out the madame's eyes. Then, Christine ran downstairs to the kitchen to get a knife and a hammer. She proceeded back upstairs where both of the girls bludgeoned and sliced the mother and daughter to pieces. The rabid sisters also used a pewter pitcher that sat on a nearby table at the top of the stairs to bash the heads of the Lancelin ladies. Experts estimate that the incident lasted about 30 minutes, and in that frenzied 30-minute time period, the maids had violently slaughtered both women. Sometime later, Monsieur Lancelin returned home to find the house completely dark. He assumed that his wife and daughter had already left for a planned dinner party that they were scheduled to attend that evening and proceeded to the party himself. When he arrived at the friend's home, however, he found that his family was not there either. He returned to his residence with his son-in-law at approximately 6:30 p.m, where they discovered the entire house still dark, except for a single light illuminating the window of the Papin sisters' room. The front door was bolted shut from the inside, so they were unable to enter the house. The two men found this suspicious and went to a local police station to summon help from an officer. Together with the policeman, they responded to the Lancelin home, where the policeman made entry into the home by climbing over the garden wall. Once inside, he found the bodies of Madame Lancelin and her daughter Genevieve. They had both been bludgeoned and stabbed to the point of being unrecognisable. Madame Lancelin's eyes had been gouged out and were found in the folds of the scarf around her neck, while one of Genevieve's eyes was found under her body and another on the stairs nearby. Madame Lancelin was lying on her back with her legs apart and only one shoe on. Genevieve's body was facing down. Next to her right hip lay a bloodied kitchen knife with a dark handle. Blood covered the entire scene and had even splattered onto the walls 2 meters above the bodies. Thinking that the Papin sisters had met the same fate, the policeman continued upstairs, only to find the door to the Papin sisters' room locked. After the officer knocked but received no response, he summoned a locksmith to open the door, fearing the worst. Inside the room, he found the Papin sisters naked in bed together, while a bloody hammer with hair still smattered to it was resting on a chair nearby. Upon questioning, the sisters immediately confessed to the killings. The police arrested the sisters and took them immediately into custody. Christine became distressed and exhibited desperate fits when the police separated the girls. Eventually, the authorities allowed a meeting between the sisters and, reportedly, Christine behaved and spoke in a way that implied a sexual relationship. According to Frédéric Chauvat, author of The Fearful Crimes of the Sisters Papin, investigators initially found the victims with their skirts up and their underwear pulled down. During this time in France, it was highly improper to take photos with genitalia exposed. So, investigators, or perhaps even journalists, may have pulled the ladies' skirts down to cover their private parts before police finished the investigation. The court appointed 3 doctors to administer psychological evaluations to the sisters in order to determine whether or not they were sane. Christine exhibited indifference towards the world, and she indicated that she had no attachments except to Lea. The doctors reported that Christine's affection for her sister was of a sort of family devotion, and that they did not detect any kinds of sexual context within their relationship. On the other hand, Lea looked up to Christine as a big sister or even a mother figure. The evaluation came back stating that the sisters had no pathological mental disorders and no family history. The doctors deemed the girls completely sane and indicated that their unusually close union caused the girls to act out together, both equally responsible for the murder. At the trial, the jurors took only 40 minutes to deliberate. Of course, they found Christine and Lea Papin guilty. Lea received a 10-year prison sentence, and Christine was to face the guillotine, although that sentence was commuted to a life in prison sentence. The brutal double murder enraged the city and shocked all of France. There had never been so much brutality in a murder like this. Many people began to wonder why 2 girls, who by all accounts were decent girls and had been supposedly treated well in their domestic positions, could possess such deep hatred as to commit such an unspeakable crime. The murder itself was heinous, but the gouging out of the eyes with their fingers was an act of almost animal savagery. Psychotherapists, philosophers, writers, and others began to chime in with their theories. Some intellectuals sympathised with the girls and could empathise with their class struggle. They saw the crime as a reflection of oppressive class divisions, poor working conditions, and prejudice. Others believed strongly that because the girls had worked in decent employment with a kind family, ate the same meals that the rest of the family ate, and had a generous monthly salary, that there was no logical motive for such a crime. Was it something deeply rooted in the childhood of the sisters? Some sources surmise that the girls were starved of love and affection. But were they? They spent their formative years away from their parents, instability with family members who supposedly loved them. Although they did eventually have to go to a Catholic orphanage, there's no evidence that they suffered or were not cared for. At the trial, a 4th doctor testified. The girls could certainly not be normal. He proposed that the relationship between Christine and Lea was a complete merger of personalities, and that Lea had lost her identity to the dominant personality of Christine. In essence, there was no Christine and there was no Lea. The killer was really the joint personality of the two, a third identity. Psychotherapists from around the world scrambled for a diagnosis. The two sisters seem to suffer from what is called shared paranoid disorder. This condition tends to occur in small groups or pairs who become isolated from the world. They often lead an intense, inward-looking existence with a paranoid view of the outside world. It is also typical in shared paranoid disorder that one partner dominates the other, and the Papin sisters seem to be a perfect example of this theory. Yet another more sensational theory emerged. Did Mrs. Lancelin discover that the girls were having an incestuous homosexual relationship? Did she see something not intended for her eyes to see? And that could be why the girls gouged out their victims' eyes with their bare hands. Without her sister, Christine did not fare well in prison. She exhibited bouts of madness and became severely depressed and despondent, eventually refusing to eat at all. Prison officials transferred her to a mental institution, however, she continued to starve herself until she died in May of 1937. Lea Papin, on the other hand, demonstrated exemplary behaviour and served only 8 years of her 10-year sentence. In 1941, she became a free woman. She lived with her mother in Nantes, France, under an assumed name, and worked in hotel housekeeping. On some accounts, she died in 1982. However, in the year 2000, whilst making a film called In Search of the Papin Sisters, Claude Ventura claimed to have found Lea living in a hospice centre in France. The woman had suffered a stroke and was partially paralysed and unable to speak. She passed away in 2001, so we'll never really know. In the aftermath of the Lancelin murders, there was a reverberation of thoughts, emotions and fears. The first stage was the shock and outrage. Then the question of why did they do it? Then the reflection on the bigger picture. Were there things about society, flaws in the social structure, callousness of the religious orphanages, too much oppression and persecution that made them do it? Did society as a whole need to change? Whether or not the Le Mans double murder resulted in any sort of societal shift in paradigm is just uncertain. Anger-fueled class struggles haven't seemed to lessen in the years since. What is certain, though, is that nearly a century later, the northwestern French city is still known for little more than the 24 hours of Le Mans car race. But even today, the effects of the savage murder that took place at 6 Rue Bruyère on February the 2nd, 1933, still echo throughout the rolling hills of the picturesque French countryside.